call me Phoenix if you so please, right? So today we're gonna be working on a room called Craft, right? Um, Let me quickly share my screen, then we can get started.
Can you guys hear Mr. Enoch? Because I can't really hear him at this end. I don't know if I'm the only one.
We can hear him as
A
well.
second, please. A second, please.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Can you all see my screen, please?
Yes,
Yeah.
please. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, so okay, so this is the room we're gonna be working on. Okay, so
Sorry
first
to
things
interrupt.
first. Okay,
Sorry to interrupt. Please,
all right.
I think some of us may be new to the platform you are using. Please give us a quick intro of the platform and how you can get access to that platform. And yeah, before you start, thank you very much.
Okay, so this is the OffSec proving ground, which is basically like your regular hack the box and try hack me. Then also has lots of interesting boxes and machines you can practice on, right? On different topics, basically. Yeah. So it's nothing more like nothing extraordinary, right? Where you have vulnerable labs that you can use to actually practice your hacking skills, right? Yeah. So that's basically it. It's just like your regular hack the box and try hack me platforms. Yeah. Hope that clarifies everything.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Just a second, please. Okay. So let's just pick our target IP and then start our basic information gathering or then enumeration. Oops. Okay, hope the font is okay, please.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just create a directory for our nmap scans. Okay, let's just start with our usual nmap syntax. Nmap minus capital PN to prevent pings. Then our usual default scripts, then version, then our IP. Then let's pipe it to let me get rid of this. Okay. Okay. So okay. So this is basically going to for those who are like me, new to this whole thing, what we are trying to do is basically scan for open ports Oh shit. Sorry, hope you all can see my screen, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please. I can.
Okay, I'm trying to drag this. There's something getting in the way. Uh, all right. So okay, so for those new to the whole hacking thing, right? So initially we try to look for open ports and then services running on the target system, right? To see where we can spot vulnerabilities and then try to exploit them. So this is basically going to scan for open ports, right? And then try to see or to probe what services are running on those ports. So currently we can see we have port 80, right? Which is basically a web server running on our target's machine, right? We can see it's running Apache, right? 2.4, right? So usually let's just visit the web server and see what is going on there. Okay. So it lands us on a page, right? Visual website. So basically what we do at this stage is try to learn as much as possible about our target system, right? So we can basically start doing basic enumeration, right? Web server enumeration, looking around the web application to see what it's trying to do, just to understand its functionalities and how it works, basically. So let's just move around, then we have potential email here, admin@crafts.offsec. But then while scrolling through the website, right, we find an option, an upload functionality, let me put it, that enables us to upload files onto the server, right? Then before we do anything on here, let's just do some basic directory brute forcing, okay? It's not necessary, but then it's always good you look around first just to learn what the application does, right? Before you try doing any kind of automated scans or fuzzing, right? Just to prevent the amount of traffic you send to the server. Because in production environments, sometimes sending too much traffic to mean a live or a prod server could actually cause some issues, right? So just yeah. So let's just perform some basic okay. All right. We're going to be using Ferox Buster for this purpose. So type in sudo Ferox Buster -u for our URL. Oh, shit. Okay, then what's this? All right. Sorry, if you have any questions, you can actually stop me and then ask, right? Feel free. Okay, so right away we can spot directories such as upload, which looks a bit cool. Yeah, so far that is the only interesting directory we find so far. Okay, so let's just Nothing interesting here. Okay. So now let's go back to testing upload functionality just to know what kind of files we can upload onto the server and what it's actually trying to do. Okay, so we can simply fire up BEP. But then before we do that, let's just upload a normal image file. Okay, just to see how the web server reacts to it, right? Okay, so after uploading a PNG file, we get a message, a response from the server saying file not valid. Please submit ODT files, right? So having issues with this. Oh, hope you can all see my screen, please.
Yes, we can.
Okay, sure. All right. So the server tells us what? File is not valid. Please submit ODT file. And who can quickly tell us anything they know about ODT files? Anyone, I mean, just any random person, right?
Okay, so ODT files are basically files that are generated by LibreOffice. Right? Just like we have those docs for Word and the rest. When
Perfect.
we are dealing with LibreOffice, we put these ODT files.
Great. Okay, so we found an upload functionality, right? And then we get a message telling us it only receives ODT files. As an attacker, what comes in mind, right? What does your hacker sense tells you? I mean, who can quickly I mean tell us anything interesting in?
Oh, okay. I don't know. So with me from I don't know, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so from playing like most boxes and then seeing just file uploads, and I will be thinking of a way to get a file that maybe can get me something like a reverse shell. But then since it's saying ODT, then I have to search for maybe like an ODT, a reverse shell or something. Okay, someone is saying, so yeah, that is what comes in mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we already tested that functionality. We now know the type of file to actually upload. But in actual sense, if you don't, the application is not always going to tell you straight up, it's not going to like display files like that, like messages like that sometimes, right? So you basically have to test those functionalities to know which extensions, whether it's probably picking the file from its extension and all that. You understand? So let's and this is too small. Just a minute, please. Let me wow. Why is this messing up? Okay, hey, hope you can all see, please. All right.
Yes,
So,
please.
okay. So, I'm just trying to demonstrate what a normal attacker would do if probably they come across an upload functionality or something and probably want to test what they can do with it. Right. So let's just try sending a normal PNG file and then intercepting our request with a web proxy, with a proxy. Yeah, basically. So we are using burp here to intercept the request for further manipulation, right? Uh, oh, let's just add this to. I'm just trying to add a target to a scope, right? So it stops sending in like unnecessary requests. Okay. All right. Let me start the whole process again. Oops. Wow. I'm kind of having issues with this. Okay. So that's please, does anyone have any questions so far? Okay. Wow. How can I get rid of this? Wow. Okay. Okay. Let's see.
What is the problem you are facing at the moment, please?
I'm just trying to get rid of this Zoom. I don't know. Let's.
I think you can
I don't
just
know. I
drag
think
the
there's a feature to minimize it.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maxam, then please try and check that from your end or something so that he can continue so that we can get that.
It's. Wow.
Well, we can see the major thing you're trying to share, so I don't know.
Sure. Okay. So let's just let me just drag this.
Okay,
All right.
we have a
So
question and we have a question, please.
okay,
So
sure.
please, what is our main goal?
What is our main goal?
Yeah, Amos, is it the main goal for the machine we are working on, or what? What are you trying to say? If you can say that, we will try and help you understand what you're trying to say. Thank you. You can type if you don't want to speak.
Okay. Can we move on?
I think so. When Amos replies, we just give him the answer he needs.
Okay. All right. So we just captured our request in BEP. Let's just send it over to repeater, the repeater tab. So this enables us to actually manipulate requests multiple times. Oh man. A second, please. I think I just lost this.
Okay, as Phoenix
Okay.
is Enoch is trying to fix his problem. I think Amos, if your question is what are we trying to achieve, So let me just give you a summary of the whole machine. If that's what you need, that could answer the question you're asking. As Enoch faces his problem, then he comes back. So the machine is just basically a machine where we have this upload functionality. And most of the time when a pen tester or anyone testing the machine comes about upload functionality, so many things come into mind. You want to see if you can use so many upload bypass functionalities. Like I think Troy did one recently where we bypass by appending an image extension to a PHP file and bypass the whole thing. Yeah, anything it comes, I'm trying to add a GIF header to the whole, just anything that you could use to bypass the functionality. But here lies the case: we have a prompt saying that the system accepts only an OTD file, and he explains what an OTD file is. So that's the trail we are on. We are trying to see how well what can we do with the ODT file. That's the goal we are trying to achieve here. What do we do? How do we use our ODT file? So yeah, Amos, that's basically what we are trying to do. How well can we use the ODT file to get a reversal, to get access to the machine, to compromise the machine? Yeah, and so many words will be coming in that you get to understand what exactly is going on. Please have you fixed your problem now so that we can proceed?
Okay.
Okay, I think he's back now. Okay, Amos, that's fine. I hope you get it.
All right. So hope you can all see, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So repeater is basically a functionality on Burp that could enable us manipulate requests multiple times, right? Just to understand what the application is doing. Okay, so initially we sent a PNG file, right? A .png file. So let's just send it and see what happens. The application tells us what file is not valid. Please submit an ODT file. So let's just change the extension, right? That would be the most reasonable thing to do to see if the application allows us to upload the file this time around. Okay, so we get a response saying your resume was submitted. It will be reviewed shortly by our staff. Okay, so this, as an attacker, this macros should start ringing a bell, like me, because you know definitely someone would open that ODT file you're sending in there, right? Based on the message we are getting here, right? So the most reasonable thing to do at this point would be to embed macros in an ODT document, an ODT file, and then upload it, right? Just to see if we can get a callback to probably your C2, whatever, to get a shell on the system, right? Okay. And same concept applies to Word documents, okay? Someone could send a malicious Word document with macros embedded in there. Then once you open up and then enable edits, something like that, it just runs the macros and then performs whatever action the attacker wants to perform. Hope it makes sense, please.
Phoenix.
Yes, please.
Okay, so
Phoenix. Can you talk a little bit about macros, just in case someone doesn't know about it?
Okay, so macros are basically used to automate certain actions in how do you call it? Windows Word documents, basically. Not just Windows, but then it also has to do with LibreOffice also, right? So it's just basically like a script, right? A script you can actually write to perform certain auto open a document, do multiple things, right? Anything you want to do at all, right? If you can throw more light on that, Maxam.
I think you've explained it very well. So we are using macros over here to actually get access to the system, but then it has a genuine purpose. Like macros is used to, as Phoenix said, it's used to automate stuff. Like when you have a Word document, or like let's say you want to have some particular design when the document is opened, or you want something to change in the document, you understand? I wouldn't, or maybe I would call it something like JavaScript. You understand? Like the way we use JavaScript on the web, right? So when you open a particular web page, right, JavaScript gets run like on you loaded the page, right? So macros kind of works like that, right? Sometimes when you open a document, it can automatically run. You understand? But I think in the current versions of like Word and LibreOffice, like people have realized that people are using macros maliciously. So what they do is that like they kind of try to prompt a user for the person runs the macro. So I think that's about it for macros. I think you explained it really well. So.
Perfect. All right, thank you, Maxwell. Okay, so at this point, we know our attack vector, right? Well, we in actual sense, we wouldn't be too sure it would work, but then I mean, all the pieces of information we have currently tells us that's the way to go. That is our attack vector. Okay, so what we can do now is try to generate a malicious ODT file, right? We can do that manually with LibreOffice, but there are Python scripts, multiple Python scripts you can use to achieve that goal. Okay, so we can, okay, let me just turn this off. Okay. Okay, so we can quickly search for malicious ODT generator GitHub. So might have a few of them open up. Okay. Okay, so we can stick to this one. So there's a malicious macro generator, right, for LibreOffice and OpenOffice, right? So what this script does is just automates the process of opening up LibreOffice. Let's just look at the manual way. Let me just demonstrate this then. Okay, so manually we can think. Okay, we have this. All right, so when you come to tools, there's a macro section, right? You can just go to edit macro and then manually craft your macro here, right? To invoke PowerShell or, put in a PowerShell download cradle to download some weird payload somewhere on the server, so that once the person opens the documents, it just auto runs the whole thing and then does whatever you want to do. You can command it to launch cmd.exe when the person opens the document. You can be creative, like you can basically do anything you want. Okay, so yeah, so this is just to get an idea of how you can manually do that, right? Yeah, then okay, so we have a Python script here that could actually automate the whole process. So let's just take the ODT version, malicious macro generator. Let me just quickly download the scripts then. Hope you're on the same page. Everyone gets what we are doing here. If you have any questions, you can throw them, please. While we get the script, wow. Okay, let's just copy the whole thing. All right. Oh gosh. All right. So let's odt.py. Oh gosh. Okay. So we're just trying to transfer the scripts. Oh. Okay. Okay, so let's just okay, so this is a usage. We could basically run, okay, let's see, run the scripts and then specify our operating system type, right? If it's a Linux server we're trying to target, we could specify Linux so it knows what kind of payload to generate, right? If we should open up the scripts in, there's a section for, okay, let's just, I don't think that's necessary, but I mean, just to, okay, so if sys, okay, hope my font is okay. Sorry. All right, so just focusing on this side, right? If sys.argv1 equals Windows, so the arguments we are passing to the script, right? If we have argv0, argv1, and all that. So if the user passes Windows as that parameter, as that argument, right? The Windows argument is telling the script to generate a specific payload, and we can say it's partial, right? Using partial to mean craft, mean a payload. You understand? Right. So yeah, the same as with Linux. If it's Linux, right, is going to use this specific oh shit. It's going to use this specific payload, execute this specific payload. And those who are used to getting ref shells on Linux environments are used to this. Okay, so okay. Let's just ODT Windows. Okay, our okay, so now let's just input our remote hosts and then our local host. Sorry, I think there was an error with the script, right? And then local port on which we would be receiving our ref shell, right? Our connection or callback. Okay, I think that's it. All right, so this should generate file.odt. So this is the document we're going to be sending to the application, right? Expecting someone to actually open it, right? To get a callback. So before we do that, let's just start our netcat listener on port 9001, right? Before we upload our file.odt, our malicious ODT file, let's just start. So we already started a listener here, right? Then let's try to upload. Hope you're on the same page. If anyone has any questions, you can ask, please. Oh, it's happening. Uh-oh. Oh. Okay, I think there's a problem somewhere. Let's
Well, it's a normal problem with this machine, so I think you have to do it for some time. I encountered similar things, so just take your time, it's normal.
see. Python, ODT, Windows, okay. Let's try uploading our file again just to see. I mean, sorry about the delays. Wow, okay. I don't know if it has to do with the file permissions on the ODT file or no. Maxam, you wanted to say something?
Exactly. You see, you run that
Sure.
command using sudo. So
Yeah,
it doesn't have
that's
any
true.
permissions.
Yeah,
Also, if that doesn't work, then maybe you can reset the machine.
yeah, that's true.
Or maybe manually create a macro. That could also work.
Yep. Let's see. Let's try one more time. If it doesn't work, then we wow. Everyone feels dumb at a point. I mean, perfect. Okay, so now it works. So it was the permission, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so your resume has been submitted. It will be reviewed shortly by the staff. So this gives us a guarantee that probably someone might open our ODT file, right? So let's just be patient. Okay. So we basically we sense a malicious ODT file via the upload functionality. Then someone somehow working in that organization opened up that malicious ODT file, and then that gave us a callback, right? Because we had a payload embedded in that malicious document, right? That says make a reverse connection to this particular IP on this specific port number when this document is opened, right? So that is why we have control over that machine currently. So we are currently the CyberGate user. Okay, yeah. So we're currently a low privilege user, right? Which is the CyberGate, right?
Can
We
I
can
ask a
actually,
question?
okay, sure.
Okay, so we've been talking about how to craft a malicious ODT file, docs file that someone could we could leverage on to see, let's see, how someone could leverage on that to get a call back from maybe a system that or a victim, someone who falls a victim to it. And how can we mitigate all this going around? Because when I'm learning this, I might be like, oh, okay, I think my boss always checks some files I sent to him. What if I embed this and get access to his machine? Boom. But are there any mitigation at the place that will actually, let's say, prevent me from doing that in the current days, or is still that way I can still use it?
Well, I think currently Microsoft is doing a great job at defending against some of these attacks, right? So if you should download a random Word document from the web, it would only appear in what read-only mode, right? I don't know if I'm correct, but anyone could correct me if I'm wrong. It just locks up the document in read-only mode. So you don't have the option to edit until actually decide to deliberately want to. I don't know if that makes sense, but if Maxam or anyone else can throw more light on that. And
Okay. Please, the question is actually an open question to everyone. If you have an idea, it's not just one instructor because we are all learning, and he just demonstrated a particular attack, and I want to know how are we safe from that attack because most of us are working in offices day to day. We are opening files here and there. You don't even know some files are just being set by a colleague, and yeah, boom, you open it. You don't even know what it is. But are there any mitigations? Are there any way that they've helped us to let's say make us avoid those kind of files or that kind of attack, we being a victim of those kind of attack? I don't know if you guys get the question. Yeah, that's what, I don't know if you get the question. I need an answer to that because I'm
so,
literally opening a lot of files open every day at work.
yeah. So I believe this could be more effective through probably maybe a more structured social engineering attack, right? Because, I mean, yeah, that is the most reasonable way I think attackers could actually get through. Then also we should, as end users, always verify the sources of documents we open up, right? If someone is sending you a document and you trust the person, and that's okay. You don't also download random stuffs from random places, all right? Yeah. But I know from a SOC point of view, or I don't know if there are any SOC guys in here, right? Probably there are ways there are rules you could configure on SIEMs, enterprise SIEMs, or there's XDRs that could mitigate some of these things, right? But technically, I currently can't say a specific thing that cuts across. So if anyone, Maxam or anyone else could throw more light on this, that would be great, just for learning
Okay,
purposes. Yeah.
I think Nicholas has a question. Nicholas, please, you can unmute
Okay.
yourself and ask the question.
Please, it's actually not a question, but an add up to what Strata is saying.
Okay, that's fine.
That's perfect.
So if you are working in a big organization which has like a SOC analyst team, that one everything goes through them before it comes to your machine. So that one there is no problem opening files here and there and all those things without any like issues. But if the organization don't have the SOC analyst team or any monitoring like securities that monitors such activity, what you should do is you have to like as our instructor said, you should check the sources and then again the trusted issue impersonation is also there. So that one is not all that safe. So but before like you open any file which you think or you feel is suspicious, you have to like contact someone who has some background in cybersecurity so that they can like scan the file or do something before like you open it. Thank you.
Okay, and my mind comes to this. Can virus tutor, is it virus tutor? Yeah, can you help us to determine some of these things? Because sometimes you upload your files and URLs and it gets to determine, okay, this file is malicious. Can you help us in this case?
Okay, so the thing is, like, virus tutorial deals with signatures, right? And if he hasn't seen that signature before, like,
Maxam, please,
even
your voice is very low.
can you hear me?
It's still low. Can you
Okay.
come up a little?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better.
It's better now. Okay. So I was saying that like, I think if you use the latest version of Microsoft Office, right, you should be able to avoid some of these attacks. Because like with the latest versions, right, they have put measures in place to prevent all this, right? So you'd really have to, I don't know, it would take a very disobedient user to fall for this attack because you get a lot of warnings about it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I think. Also,
Yeah.
I think I don't know, I'm not really sure, right? But I think maybe you could restrict the kind of processes the kind of child processes that Microsoft Office can spawn, right? So maybe restrict Microsoft Office from spawning something like CMP or like some other unknown process, right? I don't know if it's a conventional method, but like that's what I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. That makes sense. That makes sense. So,
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nicholas. Thank you, Vaxam.
Sure.
I think we can proceed now.
okay. Okay, so now we currently have a shell on the system, right? And usually we would actually be the low
There's a
privilege
pause
user.
again.
Okay,
Sorry.
sorry.
There's a controversy in the chat. SOC doesn't handle everything before it gets to the system. There's a controversy. So Mr. Nicholas proposed that the SOC handles staffs, but Mr. Clement doesn't agree because he says the SOC doesn't handle everything before it gets to the system. Mr. Clement, if you can unmute and explain, because we really need to understand these two staffs. Because Mr. Nicholas explained his part, and you have another view or an opinion about this. So please unmute and explain to us.
Okay, good evening. I don't know if maybe you can all hear me.
Yeah.
Yes,
evening,
we
sir.
can.
Okay, so when it comes to the SOC, it's more of monitoring the traffic that is coming in and out. There are some configurations that can be done even in the AV, but there's some other information that is being sent across the network. It definitely hits the people's account. And then when the users click on, that is when we get alerts with respect to SOC. So it's more like putting things in place, like what Phoenix is doing. The file is already sent to the person. If the person doesn't click on it and doesn't do anything, some AVs will be able to pick it up and then delete it immediately. And then SOC will have the information to it. But some AVs will wait until the user clicks on it. But here lies the case when the user clicks on it, you already have back access. Then the SOC person will now have to understand what the payload was and then try and find means and ways to block those accesses from coming through. Just last week and this week, we've been running a social engineer simulations at work. And the funny thing is we first sent the first simulation. It went, few people just clicked on it, but the second one, we just made it very nice and accommodating, telling everybody that the company is going to do a salary review. So they should click on the link to put in their request. And they had a SOC, they had system implementers and other things, but we're able to capture lots of people clicking on the link. And if we had wanted to do anything to it, we'll be able to go ahead with it. So practically, SOC doesn't hold everything. It just monitors the network and then puts policies in place. But if it's able to bypass the system and then it gets to the user's machine, what happens is the SOC, since it's already hooked to the AVs on every machine on the network, it rather scans and picks up and blocks any further attacks that will come through.
Perfect. Okay. Great. Thank you, Mr. Clemens, for clarifying in things, right? And mostly when people, as an attacker, you can actually get a shell on, depending on how your target environment is configured, right? You can sometimes get a shell for a while, but then mostly when the SOC team, when probably their SIMs spawn up an alert, right? That probably on PCA in HR department, right, has word spawning PowerShell, or has word having a child process of PowerShell or cmd.exe. That automatically triggers some kind of suspicion, right? So right up, probably they might have some automation going on that would just kill that process straight up. And that, in a way, solves the problem. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Clements. It makes sense. All right, can we move on, please? Any other questions?
I think we can move on.
Okay, so now we have a low privilege shell, right, as the cyber gig, right? That is a user on the system. So we can use the net user command to find the local users on the system, right? So we can see we have administrator, Apache, and the cyber gig, right? So we can basically check more information about that specific user we currently have access to. So we see it's not directly part of any interesting groups. It's part of the only part of the users group. Oops. Okay. Yeah, so we don't really have anything interesting. So we can also move around the file system just to see if we can find anything interesting, right? People can leave their passwords in documents. You can find anything. Okay, so I don't think we might have permissions to view what is in some of the other users like Apache and administrator. Okay, so let's just move around the cyber gig. Let's check their desktop. Okay, well, that's a flag. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so we have a few directories in here. So at this point, we're just trying to look around, right? There are so many post-exploitation techniques, right? That you can. So what we are currently doing will just fall under post-compromise enumeration, right? So after compromising the machine, after hacking into the machine or whatever, getting your shell, what further information can you find on the system to give you more access, right? Or to give you some kind of higher privileges. Okay, so so at this point, we're just looking around the system just to find anything that could lead us there. Okay, so let's so there's a resume script. Okay, you can actually have time and look at what it's actually doing, but we have a variable resume set to this path, this directory, sorry. Then while true, so this will try to move every item in the uploads in the XAMPP htdocs uploads directory to this variable we have here, which points to this, right? Yeah, we could actually understand it's self-explanatory, we can go through, but I think there's anything interesting. So it's checking the privileges of using iCalcs to actually grant the cyber gig user the full permissions over. Okay.
Felix, not to
Maxam.
interrupt you, but
Sure.
I think the creators of the machine, right? They are using automated scripts to like open and review the documents. You understand?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm sure that's what it's for.
Exactly. So this script. I didn't want to say that, but then my sound just but so this script is basically simulating what a human being would do. You understand? I hope I'm right, or wrong. I don't know. Simulating what someone would actually do. So what do you call it? Yeah, Maxam, hope that's okay.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, so we know there's a web server running on the system, right? So we can go ahead and move to the web root to see if we can find anything interesting. Yeah. So based on looking at the scripts, we also know that the CyberGeek user has where exactly is this? Okay, so now let's just move to the, let me move it away. Let's move to the web root and see if we can find anything interesting. Okay. So now we can actually recognize what this is. This is the web root for our web server, right? XAMPP HC docs, right? And remember we found some uploads directory while doing the directory brute forcing, right? In the uploads folder. So since we know as a web user, we have access to the web root, okay? And then running, let's just run iCalcs on this directory to see what kind of oops. Okay, we are currently in a PowerShell. All right. So now what we need to do now is probably generate a payload and then get a more stable shell, or probably just upload netcat to get a more friendly shell. Okay. Oh, all right. Okay, so we're just trying to get netcat onto our target machine. So we can actually, create a connection back to ourselves. So let's just use setutil, which is a binary on Windows. We can actually use it to do so many stuffs, but then we're currently using it to download a netcat binary onto the target system, right? Does anyone have any questions, please? I don't know if the syntax is right, but
I think it's URL cache.
URL cache, yeah. Oh man. Perfect. Okay.
Go back. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So yeah. So what we basically did here was just transfer our netcat binary onto our target system, right? So we can actually use it to create a reverse shell, right? So we can actually, this shell is running in PowerShell. It spawned a PowerShell process, right? So it's kind of not fully interactive. Like, we can't do certain things in here. So let's just let's just use this to let's start a list now on port 9002, sorry. Then okay, and then run this command. So we actually executing netcat, telling it to connect back to our IP address, and then connecting on port 9002, right? And then executing the CMD process. Okay, so yeah. So now we have a more stable shell. Okay, so initially I was trying to use iCalcs to check the permissions of our current user on that web root directory, right? Oh, oops. Okay. Now we also realized that we had a user called Apache, right? Which we all know is what mostly default web user, right? On the system. So since we also know the cyber geek user, right? If I'm not mistaken. Okay, we know the cyber geek user has rights permissions here. We can actually write to this specific directory, which is the web root. So what we might do is try to upload, since the web server has PHP on there, we can try uploading a PHP web shell, right, into this directory. So we can try accessing it with through our web server, right? Yeah, because we have access on the. Okay, so but in normal sense, if once you get a shell like this, you should try multiple stuffs. I mean, just do your enumeration, basic enumeration, run whatever privilege escalation scripts you'd like WIMPs and the likes, just to check if you can get any privilege escalation attack vector, right? So since we're trying to be quick, let's just go straight to the point. Okay, so now we can just create a web shell. Oh no, I don't need this. Okay, let's just look for one. I mean, I think okay. Does anyone have any questions, please? Okay. So let's start up a Python server, right? This is just an alias, okay? Yeah, so it just starts in the Python server. Yeah, so this is usually the command you'd use for that. So sudo Python, and then there's a model called http.server, right? That can start an HTTP server for you. Okay. So since this is hosted, we can still use setutil, all right, to get our script on there. So web shell.php, right? if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Oops. Oh, got the wrong IP. All right. Let's just wait for a while. I mean, I don't want to kill this shell. Okay, sure. So let's just get the right IP. 188, yeah. Oh, wait. 180. Forgive me, sorry.
180.
I mean 180, yeah. Yeah, 80. Sorry about that, guys. Whoa. Damn gods. Okay. So does anyone have any questions up to this point? Perfect. Okay, so we currently have this web shell in our web root, okay, which we can actually access from our web server, right, in the browser. So if the idea here is to get a web shell which is going to run in the context of what Apache user, right? So since the web server or the default user for the Windows web server would be Apache, right? Anytime we run this web shell, right, it would run in the context of that user, right, that Apache user, which we can also enumerate further to see if we can get anything interesting. So let's just move to our web server and running on port 80 to see if we can access our web shell. Perfect. So sorry. I didn't cut the content of our web shell, right? So this is basically it, right? Basic web shell. So using this, PHP function, system function, we can send commands through this CMD get parameter, right? Yeah. So hope this makes sense. Hopefully. So now we can access this parameter and then pass in what system commands we get executed, right? So using the who am I command tells us what we are currently the Apache user, right? So now what we can do is try getting a ref shell, right? We can run any command we want, but it wouldn't get us that far. Okay. So what we can do is just use the netcat binary we have in there to get reverse shell, okay? So let's think nc.exe 2.168.4.180, right? Hope I'm correct with the IP this time. Okay, now we're still trying to do the same thing, right? Since we have netcat in this specific directory in the web root, right? We are executing netcat and then telling it to connect to this IP address and this port number, and then end up executing cmd.exe, right? So this would end up, let's check if my directory, okay, sure, we have netcat in there. Okay, so this would end up running in the context of what the Apache user, So this would give us a shell. Oh, shoosh. I forgot to start my netcard listener. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. So now we have a shell as the Apache user, right? So now we can also start so now we're currently having a shell as a different user on the system. Okay, that is currently the Apache user, right? So let's we can check if that user is part of any special groups, right? Which it's not, right? We all know usually when you compromise a Linux server, right? The first command we usually run sometime, right, is sudo type L, just to check the permissions we have. Okay. So same applies to Windows. We can run whoami/privs just to see what permissions we have. Okay. So straight up for those who are used to exploiting Windows machines, right? We already see the attack vector here, right? Which is, we can see we have the SE impersonate privilege, right? Which points us to token impersonation attacks. Okay. Maybe later on, Maxam can delve deeper into the internals of that permission, and how you take control of it, right? So, but then for now, we know we have this permission, right? So now we can abuse this in multiple ways, right? There are so many exploitation scripts we could use to do that. The likes of print spoofer, juicy potato, and also you need to do some specific information gathering before you proceed, and then know exactly which of the scripts to actually execute on the target system. So if oh shit, this might take a while. I could grep, but just to okay. So OS name is what Microsoft Windows Server 2019. So for sure, I know print spoofer, that the print spoofer version would work on here, right? So we can actually move online and then check for print spoofer. So there are so many places online you can get some of these executables, right? So we have the likes like Juicy Potato, Print Spoofer, and a few others. So we also have them in multiple architectures. Okay, so we know our target system is a 64 base PC, right? It's running the x64 architecture. So we know exactly which one to go for. So I locally have I think I have this on my system. Okay, sure. So let's just copy this over. Right. Any questions up to this point, please? Any questions? So now again, we can start a Python server just to host our file, and then we use setutil to transfer the file onto our target machine, right? Dot 45.180, right? Okay, I think we're good to go. Any questions, please? Okay, perfect. All right, so now what we can do, oh, shoot. Oh man, gosh. Green Scooper 64.exe. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so we currently have our executable here. Okay, so there are so many ways of utilizing this. Since we have netcat, I usually like creating a netcat reverse shell when trying to exploit that vulnerability. So we can run, oh man, let me just copy this. This -h, just to know. So we know we can pass in a command for it to execute using the -c argument, right? We can make it interact with a new process, right? So we can start a new PowerShell process in there, which I usually don't like doing. Then -d, spawn a new process on desktop corresponding to the session ID. Yeah, so there's actually an example. So this is exactly what we're going to be doing. Okay, you can also do this. I mean, it's a personal choice. It's preference. Okay. So before we start that, let's just start netcat listener on port 9004, and then .exe. Then we specify -c to input a command. So we specify a command, we tell it to run cmd.exe, then take a command through standard input, so /c, then we execute our netcat binary. Then ask it to connect to this IP on port 9004, then execute cmd.exe, right? Any questions up to this point, please? If anyone has any questions. Okay, I think this should work. Perfect, okay. So a found privilege as impersonates and then using named pipes. Yeah, another complex thing to explain. Then it creates a process as that user. So now if we should check our privileges, we currently enter authority system, okay, which should tell us we actually own, there's the highest privilege. Yeah. Any questions, please?